I'm super excited about today's video because I'm going to be learning all about wounded energy, how to discover if you have it and how to heal from it. So be sure to stick around. All right, guys, you are in for a treat. I have Adey Chekol with me today. She is an integrated coach and an activator of divine feminine. We met not that long ago on Instagram. She invited me on one of her live streams. And as she got to talking, I was like, no, honey, you need to be on my YouTube because I have a lot of questions. So I'm going to be learning a lot today while she's explaining to us about wounded energy, how to know if you have it, how to heal from it, all that good stuff. So I got to ask you, first of all, am I even describing it correctly? Wounded energy? Is that the proper terminology?
It's wounded feminine energy. Wounded energy works perfectly.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. So I'm just going to let you go ham and explain. Just let's talk to the people as though they're complete novices about wounded energy and really break it down. Feel free to go in as much detail as you would like. I am all ears.
Wonderful. Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me here. I'm so happy.
My pleasure. I know. I just jumped right in. I got so excited.
So glad that you have me here. So thank you. And all right. So what is wounded feminine energy, right? We don't usually, we ask ourselves this question of what's wrong with me, right? When something goes wrong or things don't happen the way that we want them to, or when we continuously repeat certain patterns in our life that are not really serving us, we wonder if it's us, right? If it's something that we're doing, or we're just not lucky, and it's just things are just not happening for us. But when you go deeper and when you start working with, your internal work, your soul work, you start to realize that we all have energies. I mean, everything is energy, right? The entire universe is energy, and we are a part of that universe, and we're connected. And energetically, there's this feminine energy and masculine energy. And it's not necessarily based on gender. A lot of people confuse the masculine with men and the feminine with women, but we all have the masculine and the feminine within us. And of course, with most women, the feminine energy is more dominant versus the men, they have the masculine energy more dominant in them. Now, these energies, there's initially, technically, they're supposed to bring out our innate power, our innate wisdom. And they serve us in a way where life goes so easily for us when they're healed. But when these energies are wounded, that's when things start to slow down for us. That's when we get into negative behaviors or toxic behaviors and patterns. And the wounded energy occurs, it could be generational, where it's passed to us from our ancestors, our parents, grandparents, or it could come from our own experiences when we, go through a difficult situation, difficult relationships, if we've been abused as children, or if, people have done something to us that kind of breaks our spirit. What that does is it wounds our energy. I'm
sorry to interrupt. I was going to say, could you kind of substitute energy for mindset in a way? Because it's a mindset that you have that then I guess I would say a correlation between your mindset, which affects your energy. Would that be I'm trying to connect.
It does. Okay. Yes, your mindset definitely affects your energy.
Okay.
And when we work with energies, that's what we do. We work with our mind, and it's very connected.
Got you. Okay.
And we don't necessarily know most of these because they're buried deep down in the subconscious, right? Because it could be things that we have recorded in our childhood, or it could be just what, the environment we lived in, beliefs, and the things that have been programmed into us.
Gotcha.
And we, just accepted in our lives. And all these things create this wound within us. And most of the time, we don't even know we have it. And when that happens, it starts to show in different ways in our lives. It shows in our behaviors, in our, the way we eat, the way we communicate with people, and also our mindset, how we think, and our thoughts.
Okay. I'm
taking
yeah, I don't want to forget to ask you. You said something interesting when I come back to it. All right. So I hate interrupting. Okay, so the wounds could come from previous experiences. They could be things that have been passed down that we're not even conscious of. So for the person who's watching who says, man, I don't know for sure if I have it, how would somebody know that there is a wound there that even needs to be addressed?
Well, first of all, we all are wounded because of the society we live in right now. We just by the fact that, we get questioned when we fully express ourselves, right? Wounds us. And we, that I see life as a continuous healing experience.
Okay.
Right? I don't think there's a single person who can say, oh, I'm healed and I'm just done. I think, even the monks, the priests, whoever have reached that high level of spirituality, they all have work to do. So, having this wounded energy doesn't necessarily mean that something is wrong with us.
Okay. Because so many people say, oh, you need to go heal before you get in a relationship. And I've always kind of thought that, but is anyone ever really totally healed, or are you just working on yourself?
I absolutely, yes, that's a big question. And I don't necessarily believe in that. I think we all are healing. Be in a relationship that supports your healing. I think that's where the key is.
I like that. Being in a relationship that supports your healing. Okay.
Yes. So we all have a piece of us that needs to be healed. So how do we know that exists, right? Well, simple. Just take a look around you. Take a look at your life, right? I'm sure when you sit down and sit with yourself and see there are things that you want to improve, or things that you're doing when it's not really serving you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So take, simple, like if you're continuously telling yourself, I'm going to eat better, and you find yourself always reaching out to something that's not really healthy for you, that's a wound right there. There's a belief in there. Something inside of you doesn't believe that you're worthy, right? You're fully worthy of taking care of you.
That's so fast. I was going to say that's so fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah. And also if you find yourself getting into relationships that, are either physically abusive, verbally abusive, or you're just there because you want to be in a relationship, or you're just there because you want someone around you.
Yeah. You don't want to be alone. Yeah.
Exactly. You don't want to be alone. You just want to be in a relationship. But is that, truly serving you? Are you fully satisfied in that relationship?
Yeah.
And when we start seeking people just to be with us because we don't want to be alone, there is a wound. Are you envious or very jealous, competitive around people, your friends? Are you constantly looking at social media and trying to compare your life with others? That's a wound. Or are you always attaching yourself to either materials, to people? There is something there also that you need to work. So wounds show up in our lives in different ways, in emotions.
Yeah.
And insecurities, codependency. There's so many instances what we need to do is notice, right?
Mhm.
And that's really what the divine feminine is that it takes you back and you start to see the things that you probably don't want to see because it's painful, right? Most of us, we don't want to sit with ourselves and open the cabinets and find all our insecurities there. We just want to shut that down and move on, right? We don't want to see that. But when you work with the divine feminine, there's a lot of shadow work. I think, I'm sure a lot of places people see the divine feminine as something very beautiful and, it makes it very fancy. Even though it is, the divine feminine also requires so much work, so much shadow work. And it actually opens up all your wounds, because if you really want to live a full life, you need to open up those layers and heal those layers. And then, you keep moving, you keep learning, you keep healing, and then you'll find yourself fully expressing who you are, because you're no longer hidden in those wounds.
I think that it speaks to my entire brand. My brand is called Chasing Yonci because I don't want to be hidden. I don't want anything to be something that I'm not aware of. I want to know myself as humanly possible, because I know we're always going to have some blind spots within ourselves, but I want to know that. I want to know the good and the bad. And I try to, speaking of my club, my Sunshine Club, and I know you have an organization as well for women, but that's the thing that I like to let people know. You got to first do that work. It's that messiness. Like if you're taking over or cleaning your room, it gets messy first, because you have to pull everything out of all the drawers and the cabinets and things, and then you organize and then put them away. But you can't be afraid of that first initial stage where there's piles and piles of clothes or whatever, that first messy stage. But one of the things I wrote down was when you talked about food. And one of the things that I thought was so interesting, I would consider myself an influencer. I feel like that title is so lame, but I don't know what other way to describe it. But as an influencer, I felt like it's my responsibility to lead by example. And the more and more I did the work of Chasing Yonci, I realized that the ultimate self-love is self-control. Because when you are controlling yourself, you're saying, I only want to do the things that serve me. And it made me take a look and see the things that maybe someone else would say, oh, that's no big deal. But fitness, diet, how I spend my time, and in tackling those things, I feel like that's the best demonstration of love. Because as you were saying, if you tell yourself that maybe this isn't, I don't deserve better, you continue to eat those things. But when you disconnect from, how do I put it? With all the marketing, it's all about things tasting good. But when you really do look at it, you understand that these things are not good for my body. It is, probably shortening my life and things like that. It then becomes much deeper than what is satisfying my taste buds in this moment. And it's this expression of self-love when you say, no, I'm going to choose to drink water. I'm going to choose to eat fruits and vegetables. I'm going to do the things that love on my body. So I just wanted to highlight that point, because I think this thing is so big, but it can go in so many different areas of your life. And
right. And what they're doing in those advertisements, what they're doing is they're not selling you in the advertisement the actual food, but what they're selling you is the feeling, right? When you're looking at that, what you're looking at is, that tastes good, that's satisfying, that's going to feel good. Right? But when you get to love yourself, and when you are embodied in the divine feminine, you find other ways to feel good. You're no longer looking for something external, right? The entire work of healing, the entire journey is you already feel good.
yes.
So you start to see that to what it truly is, as something that's actually going to make you feel bad after you eat it.
Right.
You're not looking for that instant gratification, because you already feel good within yourself.
It's so ironic you said that, because this morning, I just posted today about how I'm so excited that I am overcoming my addiction to juice and soda. I hate to admit this, but I love soda. I love the taste of it. And so I always would have to have juice with every meal. So what I did was I said, okay, I love fruit. Thank God. I love fruit. So I would every single week get a bunch of grapes, the purple ones, because those are really, really sweet. And I'd take a cluster with every single meal and I would eat it. So when I would normally reach, I've had a couple bites, and because the food tastes like, I don't know how to explain it. It's almost bland to me in a sense until I get that little splash of sweetness. So I would eat a couple bites and then find myself eating the grapes. And it helped me to break that addiction to having that sweet. And what's so crazy is you were saying how there's this association with feeling good once you've eaten that thing. Now it's a different level of feeling good, because when I eat oatmeal or something healthy for breakfast, it's this feeling of you really love yourself. Like, look at you love yourself. And there's still a rush behind it. It's just a different kind. So it's just kind of, I think, adjusting the way we look at things. And like you said, getting pleasure out of internal stuff instead of that external.
Absolutely. It's like it comes more from love versus the other one, which is based on, the wound and the fear and wanting something more. So that's beautiful.
I like that. Okay, so let's take us through. So let's say, well, I was gonna say we discovered we have a wound. You've said that we all have wounds, so obviously there's work to be done. What would you say people should do as far as trying to discover where they need the most work and then trying to tackle that? Would you go into your insecurities, or where would you start if somebody was just like, let me just take this up a notch?
I guess that would depend on where you are in your life, right? We all don't start from the single, step. There's always different. We're all in different parts of our lives. Our healing journeys are completely different, right? The way you heal, the way you do your soul work could be very different from mine. And I always say, start from where you're at right now. What's going on around you, right? What is the one thing that's stealing your joy? That's the biggest thing that you feel like you cannot move forward, or what's the biggest thing that is calling you? And you will know by just listening to yourself, right? And start from there, dig deeper and ask yourself, where is this coming from? What had happened to cause this? And usually when we get into these topics, we point our fingers into other people, right? He did this to me, so now I am this way, or my life turned out to be like this.
Right.
And if you go into that path, that's a quick signal of being in victimhood, right? Yeah. So again, that's your wounds. That's something in you that needs to be healed, and it's not going to be fun, but you have to go and face it yourself. What did I do, right? What did I do to contribute to this situation in my life, right? If it could be financially, why am I in this situation? And then facing, not blaming, right? But facing the truth and coming from a place of love. Yeah. And understanding that everything is sacred. Now, here's the difference between masculine and feminine energy, right? The masculine energy is very focused and it tells you, do this, do this, do this, and you get to where you want to go, right? But the feminine is very, very different. It takes you in spirals, it takes you in, you can't foresee where you're going to go because you're continuously peeling off the layers of yourself and going with your feelings versus your thinking, right? So when we do like feminine work, we stop thinking. Yeah. Then we move with our feelings. So that's why our journeys could look very, very different, because what feels good to us, that's really where we need to go.
Okay. I definitely agree with you on not blaming. I definitely think that there are certain things where, you can't control your genetics or where you were born or where you live and things like that, or what family you're in. But there's so much power when you own your stuff. And I just recently did a video of the 6 areas that are completely in your control. You have total autonomy and there's nobody you can blame for it, which is like how you spend your time, what you do with your thoughts, what you say about yourself and others, what you eat, and how your space is like, because everyone has their own space, whether it's just a bedroom or a bed or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I think that for me, that was a game changer, because it's so easy to say, I would be here if it weren't for X, Y, Z, whether it's a person or a situation. And when you start to just own all the things that you can own, you find your power. And I feel like that's that love where you're like, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to love myself enough to be honest, because only then will I find my power to make a change. Otherwise, you're just waiting for everything else to change before you can live your best life.
Right. You know, and we learned that. That's also a learned behavior. We learned to blame other people as we don't want to take responsibility.
Yeah.
Because if we start taking responsibility, then we're going to have to fix ourselves.
Yes.
That's hard to do. So what we do is, we push away that responsibility, and we, when we're the victim, and that's part of the.
We're comfortable.
We're comfortable. People are around us, and we can talk about it, but that doesn't really mean that we're healing.
Yes.
Right. So owning it, and also what happens is, when we blame other people, we're separating ourselves from them, right? Mm-hmm. But when we start realizing that whatever other people are doing is, or even just our life right now, the way it is a reflection of ourselves. We created this. Nobody came into our mind, our hearts, and told us to do these things. Yes, we were programmed. Yes, we were conditioned, but we did believe those things, and we created the life that we're living right now.
We co-signed.
Exactly.
Yeah. That is. So, I didn't know. I was just saying that's good.
Right. And letting go of that control, because whenever we blame other people, we're trying to control the situation, right? And letting go of that control piece, and seeing it the way it is, seeing our part, right? Where we contributed there.
Nice. There's a lot of letting go, a lot of surrendering, a lot of being open and rewriting what you've always known. There's a lot. There's so much to unpack. I appreciate what you shared about as far as the wounds. I think it's really helpful. I want to know, before we wrap, is there something in particular that you want to share? It doesn't have to be specifically on wounds, but it could just be something that you kind of see overarching with women, maybe a limiting belief, or maybe a word of encouragement. Is there anything that you feel led to share? And if you don't, that's fine. If nothing pops in your mind, but is there anything in particular you want women specifically who are watching this video to really think about?
The only thing that really is coming up to me right now is you don't have to look for external validation, right? Many times when something goes on in our lives, we call our friends and our family, or go to a therapist, and those things are absolutely fine. We should do them. We should talk to people. We're meant to live in a community, right? But before we do that, let us take the time and go within, right? We don't need other people's validation. Usually we know what we want to do. Yes. When we call other people, it's really because we are looking for that validation, right? The approval. And when they don't agree with us, we get mad.
Yeah.
So go within and spend more time, looking at the answers within without judgment, right? Don't judge, don't be afraid, and know that this is your path. Everybody is in their path. So there's no reason for you to be comparing and seeing where the other people are. This is your journey. You're absolutely exactly where you need to be right now for you to be moving forward.
I really like that. And we hear it a lot, like, be secure within yourself. Don't get validation. It's almost from a negative place or a place of almost condemnation. But there is this beauty within when you first love yourself, you decide to love yourself, flaws and all, and you allow yourself the permission to make choices. That's what I kept hearing when you were saying that. It's like, if I've decided this doesn't work for me, I love when Oprah said that, this doesn't work for me. So you don't have to tell somebody else it's wrong, but it doesn't work for me. There's so much power in that. And even if 100 other people love it, swear by it, when you're okay within yourself and you're allowed to be different, you like, but it doesn't work for me. Maybe 50 people think this guy is hot. He's not hot to me. Whatever it is, speaking up for yourself. And I feel like that permeates within your relationships, not only romantically, but with your family, with your friends. You start to be comfortable with boundaries because you're saying it's okay for me to listen to what works and then tell people does not work.
Exactly. It's that people pleasing nature that we have mostly as women that, prevents us from saying that. Yes. We try to find the best words to tell people that, we don't want something. But I love that. It doesn't work for me. That,
And I think that with women, especially because so much of our value is put on being chosen by a man, it puts that subconscious mindset of, I have to get along. I have to be pleasing so that I can be picked. And I think it permeates with other areas of our lives. And so when you get to that point where you realize I'm enough, I am good, and the right person will come along it's picking because you just are, not because you were attempting to be this great pickable person. You just exist as a good person, and then they will see that. So I think that's really, really good. Now, we didn't even begin to scratch the surface of the work that you do. Is there a place where people can get more information if they want to talk to you more, individually or in a group setting? What do you have for people that they can reach out to you?
Yes. So the best way to reach to me is on Instagram. I respond to all my messages. So Instagram. I have a community, Soul Sisters Harbor, where we have, conversations like this very regularly. So they, can explore that. And I'm also launching a course on healing the wounded feminine.
Nice.
Yes, it's in the process right now. I'm looking at, I'm taking in registrations to start September. And that's really what I have right now. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'll put your Instagram information down below. So if you guys want to reach her, you can just click on the link there. But I want to formally say thank you. Thank you for joining and sharing what you did today. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
My pleasure. Follow Adey. She has great stuff. She's a whole vibe. She has a lot to offer. You guys, if you like this video, please go ahead and hit like. Like I said, let YouTube know this is content that you're enjoying. And if you want to know more about self-help and being the best version of yourself, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. I also talk about love, dating, and relationships. Every Sunday night, we have a live stream, and I usually have a panel of guests, and we talk about whatever the topic is of the day. So if you want to check that out, you can join us on Sunday nights. Please let me know what resonated most with you by dropping a comment down below. And if you know someone who would benefit from hearing this information, share this video. You guys, until next time, tell someone that you love them. And don't forget, I love you.